Okay, we are back again. Welcome to Top 5. I'm your host, Tyra.
And I'm Nicole.
Nicola's feeling frisky. Tell me about it, girl. How are we feeling today on the on this nice, beautiful after dark podcast, apparently? Hmm.
I am normal. No. I'm good. I'm good. And I have my team hauling off shirt on.
She does. She's representing for the Holanov, established in 2008. Like, before we get into the top five, the fact that these men, and it had to be men, said 2008, I'm going to start this situationship, and I'm not going to see it come to fruition until what, 7, 8 years later? Only a man. Only a man.
Men. Men. Only a man.
Okay.
Only a
Only a
man.
man. Okay, guys. So we are back again for your favorite top five ranking. And today what do we have, Nicole? What is our ranking this week? Last couple of weeks we've been into it. What are we getting into this week?
This week we are getting into, I think, our fave. And it's
We're
going to be
unbiased, though. We're unbiased.
no, because we have two faves, obviously. But our fave this week is about a man who says and does things that are like, babe. And so our top five is titled Shane. Sir, what's going on? What is this?
He
What
is
are you
he is
talking
sweet
about?
angel baby Shane. He needs to be protected. He needs to be cared for.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm,
we just want
mhm.
him to live his best life because that's what
Yeah.
he deserves. He deserves nothing less. But there are moments in the story of Shane's life where you're like, sweetie pie, did you think that was what we should be doing? Okay, sure, sure.
It's like, sir, I need to take you to the side and let you know this is
you
insane.
know, for all my neurodivergent people, the tism does spark up a bit, and that's okay. That's
Mhm.
okay. We love to see it. Hudson plays it beautifully. Especially Hudson is someone who has a family member who deals with autism, so he really takes the care to do it. But also within all the neural spiciness of it, there's some things where we ponder the decisions being made, and that's
Yeah.
okay. From one neurodivergent person to another.
And yeah. And like, not even ponder, but just like, sometimes it's just funny. Like, sometimes
It
I'm
is funny. It's very
sorry, he's
funny.
just funny. And so I would love to get into this top five. And so, Tyra, what's our number five?
Okay, okay, girls, gays, days. Our number five. There was a moment, and I believe episode 2, right before we get to that sensual, beautiful, sexy moment where they have sex for the first time in Shane's
Mm,
condo,
mm,
where Ilya poses a really important question to Shane, like
mm,
Nostradamus level question.
mm,
How many times can you come in an hour?
mm.
Now, before we get into Shane's response, me personally, being the Aquarius that I am, being the bad bitch that I am,
Not
I'm
the
going to say,
Aquarius.
you see how the through line that she like hates first is Baltimore, then it's Aquarius, but like hating is also a form of admiration. So we gonna just keep it coming, ho,
Okay,
keep
girl.
it coming. Um, but as I was saying before I was really interrupted, is that I would say personally, how many times can you make me? Because listen, if you're gonna give it, I'm gonna give it.
Make me what?
But our sweet angel baby, his response is, I don't know, maybe twice. Now, Shane, you may be new to the world of sexting. I don't know what sexting looks like during that time of life. I don't think we were out here like the millennials were out here like sexting left and right in the 2010s to 2000s. But Shane,
Mm,
why
okay.
was that? Were you? Okay. She got a
Oh
story
no,
for
I
y'all.
wasn't. No, I
Um,
really wasn't.
but she got a story for y'all later. Well, when I finish, she can go into it. But
Mm,
what I will say is that I don't think that's the response Ilya was expecting, but also it's the one that he loved the most. Like, Shane is really out here being earnest, sweet,
mhm.
open, like wearing his heart on his sleeve. And Ilya is eating that shit up. And we love to
Yeah.
see it. You know why we love to see it? Because that man doesn't have to be anything other than himself. And that is advice to all you ladies out there, all the days, the she's, the he's out there. You
Mm,
don't have to be anything other than yourself. If
mm,
that man, because it's usually a man, is telling you that you
mm,
need to be something extra, that you need to put on a show, you don't.
mm,
Because all you gotta do
mm,
is come up with the most basic ass answer you can find.
mm,
And
mm,
someone on the other side of that phone will be just as charmed as Ilya was.
mm.
Nicole, take it away. What are your thoughts?
Well, what I would say is that most of us are not the top player or hottest player according to Cosmopolitan. So I would not take any
Oh,
advice from
girl, not
Shane.
Cosmopolitan.
I would not take any advice from Shane because Shane is working with a different set of skills than we are. I
That
say
is
that
true.
to a man. I say that to a man. He will say, okay, girl, next. But you know what? In this situation, what made it so endearing is that we saw the process, right? Like, Shane was like, why? Like, I mean, just, why are you texting me before the game? Are you trying to fuck with me before the game? Like, ah. And then he gets to a place where he's just like, well, I guess I should just be honest with him twice. And like he texts it to Ilya. And like to me, this is actually one of my favorite moments because of the way that Hudson and Connor play this, where he texts it after like 2 minutes of like spiraling, right? Which we've all done. And
Mm-hmm.
then Ilya gets a text that's like, I don't know, maybe twice. And then you just see him smile because at the end of the day, this is one of the things that Ilya is so charmed, right, by Shane.
Yeah.
Like Shane is so earnest, so honest, so innocent, so truthful that like Ilya is so attracted to him at this moment, even though they haven't actually had penetrative sex at all. You know, they've really only been truly intimate like twice at this point, at least on
Yeah.
screen. And so it's kind of like Ilya doesn't have that much to go off of, but I think Shane, in the way that he plays this moment, is so different than probably any other sexual partner that Ilya has had at this point. That it's just like, I just like love, like, this guy's so just like different than everyone else that I've been attracted to
Yeah.
or with. And Shane is like for real. Like when you see him Texas, he's like, well, I guess I've calculated this in my head and probably twice. I don't know. And it's just
That's a
like,
good
what?
that's such a good point that you said calculating his head, because I'm like, this is like a bit of exploration for Shane, right? Like, Shane doesn't have a reference really. We don't know what Shane's sexual reference is as it pertains to the show. In the book, we have a bit more knowledge and information that he's had a couple girlfriends, but like finding sexual pleasure was something that was a bit hard during those relationships. And so that it really is a guess for him, especially
Yeah.
when he's thinking about sex with Ilya. Like, he really doesn't have any grasp or like any concept of how to quantify that. Which I find interesting because it is that nod to like exploration. You're really exploring a deeper level of sexuality and sensuality with this person who you are deeply attracted to. Um, and Ilya, on his end, it's so refreshing to have a conversation with someone who is so earnest, especially when I'm sure Ilya is dealing with people that are very similar to him, especially sexual partners that are very similar to him, where, we all play the game. Especially when we're in 20s, a game will be played. We're going to listen, we're going to dibble and dabble, and do what we can. But like, there's not really
Oh.
a lot of honesty. Yeah. Yeah. There's not really a lot of honesty within that dibbling dabbling. We are all here to do a thing, and then we
Mm.
move on from that. Um, And I think that like nod to like exploration of like really exploring what not only how Shane is going to interact with him sexually, but also like what this relationship is going to mean on a more emotional level, which we do see the culmination of as we go throughout
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting to even hear like Connor talk about this scene because he was like, "Oh, this was the moment for Ilya, at least for him, that like he was incredibly charmed by him and like kind of fell for him in a different way than maybe he did previously." Because that is what I felt, at least watching Connor's performance, is like the smile that like here we are, as we know, and we've talked about this, like Shane and Ilya are two different versions of what a captain should be in the locker room. And here they are at like the rivals of all rivals, like games, right? They play this a few times a year. So you would think in actuality, like they would be very serious and like, we gotta beat Montreal, we gotta beat Boston, whatever it is. And you see a version of Ilya that we hadn't really seen at this point, because the only other time we had seen him in the locker room was when he was obviously going through a lot back in 2014 and was incredibly angry and had lost in the Olympics and was like, I have to win this. And like, you know, had gone through a lot of just like internal turmoil. And so this is the first time in the locker room we had seen him be very just kind of like playful, and like his guard was down. And Connor talked about how this was like the first moment, at least for him, that Ilya had been incredibly charmed by Shane. And I got
Hmm.
that, like just seeing him smile, and even like his reaction back was just, which was just like, you suck at text or sexting, which is just obviously playful banter, but in the
Hmm.
same way, I got it, where it was like, oh my gosh, like here's a person that is just like so outside of the realm of who Ilya has, like knows people to be and has been around, whether like on the ice or off the ice or in his real family life or not. And like
Yeah.
he's kind of put in this position where he is incredibly like bashful and taken aback by this response, to the point where like our boy Marlou is like, who's this girl in Montreal that got you
Montreal
blushing,
got
babe?
you fucked
Like,
up. But like in bringing it back to Shane a little bit, I do think it's so interesting that we do see what those initial text messages will be before we get to, maybe twice. Like there
yeah.
is a bit of anger there. There's like a bit of fire there. And I do find
Hmm.
it interesting that Shane like especially as it pertains to Ilya, backs off of some of that fire. We do see it later on in the season where he could really go in on Ilya, especially on certain like instances. So, bathroom scene in Vegas, what I'm thinking about. But he backs off of that and he like
Yeah.
resets. And cooler heads prevail. He like calmly is like earnest about the answer. And like I think I find it interesting because like he wants to be truthful with him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
there is a need to not put any bravado into it or any of the other stuff that Ilya would.
Hmm.
There's a need to like be transparent with him that he feels, and I don't even think he fully understands why he feels that way. It's
Hmm.
just there inside of him. So
Yeah.
I love that all of his responses to Ilya from that moment and seemingly on forward is just transparent and earnest and wanting to be as open as he can be with Ilya.
Yep.
That's our boy though.
Yeah.
That's our boy. Okay,
Agree.
let's go to number 4. What do we got, Nicole? What's on our ranking?
This is gonna be probably higher up on a lot of people's rankings, and we'd love to hear from you. But at number 4, it has got to be the hospital scene, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think reading that scene and then watching that scene in the way in which Hudson brought that to life is just unreal, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like what made that scene work so well, and also just being like, Shane, babe, what's going on?
High as a motherfucking kite. Like high
I was
as
like,
a kite.
I want those drugs, and the Netherlands doesn't have the range. They do not have those kind of drugs here, and I wish they did. Honestly,
They said
truthfully,
you will not be addicted to opioids over here.
They give us nothing, and I cannot wait to move back to the US. But what I will say is that Hudson, I would also love to just hear how he decided to play the scene, because we've heard Jacob say, like, when he first watched the scene, he cried and was emotional over it and didn't know that this scene could go to this place.
Hmm.
But I think what made it work so well as a viewer is that, yes, it could just be the comedic part of it, right? Like, I'm high on drugs and like Ilya and oh my god and like come to my
Hmm.
cottage and blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But I think what made it work so well is that like the the opposition in which both of their characters were in. Like, yes, not Hudson, but Shane was
Yeah.
very much high on these medications and was actually incredibly excited to see Ilya there.
Ilya.
I just wanted to. Are you okay?
Concussion and a fractured collarbone, out for the playoffs, but
Could have been worse.
could have been worse.
Marlo feels terrible. He did not mean to hurt you.
I know, part of the game. We all get our bell rung eventually, right?
Right.
Hey. Hey. Better.
He hadn't seen him as he thought he was going to, and didn't think he was going to see him probably that day. But then you
Yeah.
see Ilya, who is incredibly serious, had been worried all night about Shane, saw him on the ice, thought maybe something incredibly wrong. Or something wrong happened to him. He had just seen his dad die. He had witnessed firsthand his mother dying when he was 12 years old. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of people have already brought up on the internet that, like, that flashback may have happened when he saw Shane knocked out on the ice. And I think the juxtaposition of where the two of them were coming from during the scene made Hudson's portrayal of Shane in that moment work so well, because in the
Hmm.
book Shane was very serious in terms of like when he asked Ilya, like, I want you to come to the cottage with me. It happened earlier in the book, but it was also like, I'm asking you this and I'm very in my mind fully aware of what I'm asking you and what that
Yeah.
means. And I thought Jacob made an interesting decision where it was like, obviously Shane had wanted to ask him that. That's why he invited him over the night before. And like, this wasn't something that was just like off the top of his head. But I thought the way in which it was played in the hospital scene, where
Hmm.
Ilya still was reacting in a very serious way and it was taken in a very serious way, was very important. But I have to say, Shane, in that entire scene was
Hudson is so
so
good in that entire
funny.
scene. I'm gonna start like you. I know this about Shane, but I'm gonna start on a base level because I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
Um, and Connor looks so good in that damn scene. He looks so good in that
Oh,
scene.
okay, if we're going
My
there,
God,
yeah,
his
yeah,
eyes, his hair. We know
yeah.
we all know I love to see forehead. He looks so fucking good. Okay, now back to Hudson and the fabulous job he did.
Yes,
Um
please, please, please.
Hudson did such an amazing job like portraying someone who was so loopy, high on drugs, but also just there is something inside of me I need to get out, right?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
didn't have the opportunity, especially knowing who Shane is as a character and a person who follows rules and has a plan and he sticks to it. And him like thinking about asking Ilya that question when they were supposed to
yeah.
meet the previous night, and that just being on his mind.
Mhm.
Um the entire time that he's in that hospital bed and he like needs to get it out is amazing. But the funny part to me is like when the nurse comes in.
Uh-oh. You're not gonna smother him with a pillow, are you, Mr. Rosenau?
No, 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 no. But good thinking. But no, I was just leaving.
Okay. Bye-bye. See you next season.
Get well soon, Hollander.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
pillow.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
you cannot tell me that after, like, if this is real life scenario, after Ilya leaves, he's not spilling the beans to that nurse. That nurse knows everything. Any blind item that is coming out about Ilya and Shane, she's doing it. Because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
told her that they were supposed to meet at his house that night, that is the love of his life, that I'm hoping he comes to the cottage. That man spilled every bean that was known to man. Espresso
Well,
bean, all of the beans. And I that's so hilarious because like even the look even the like voice and the look that he gives her after Ilya leaves, where he was like, "Oh, hello."
yeah. Oh,
What are you talking
hello.
about?
But
It's
wait, did
so
you
funny.
it's funny you bring that up because legitimately before we started recording, I saw on Twitter one of the Twitter girlies posted the audition from the nurse, and there was an extra
Mm.
line that she had that did not air in the
Ooh, what
actual
was it? What
scene.
was it?
Don't quote me. Do not quote me. But what it basically
This not
was,
verbatim, kids.
yeah, it's not verbatim, so do not. But basically, she did everything she did in the scene we saw, and then it was she looked at Shane after Ilya walked out and was just basically like, "Oh, like I saw how you looked at him,
Because
like clocking
period.
his tea, like
Because
clocking his
period.
tea."
Period. Like, guys, before we like delve more into this ranking, I do want you guys to know me and Nicole have talked endlessly about how we would have clocked what was
Oh,
happening. Had we been like a
clearly.
fan of one of these games, had we been in that club in episode 4, we would have clocked their teeth so fucking hard because it
Yeah,
is always, I
yeah.
don't know how everyone doesn't know. Like when they're sitting at the bar in episode 4 and Cats and Dogs comes over, how does he not
No,
clock it?
episode 5, episode 5.
Episode 5, sorry.
Yeah,
How does he not clock it? Like, everyone
because
should know.
he's a man. Cats
Well,
and dogs. That's a man.
that's like,
That's a
guys,
man.
That's Nicole's favorite moment.
It is.
She
I love it
loves
so
it so
much.
much.
But back to the scene at hand. Like I just think
Yeah.
Hudson plays that scene so earnestly, and also like I've always wondered what Shane felt like after he kind of came back to like when Ilya wasn't there, the nurse wasn't there, and then he realized it's like oh like shit. I just remembered I asked Ilya in this way to come to, but either way, that is one of the best Shane moments for me in the episode, but just like in the season because he's loose. He kind of is just like obviously not the best circumstances have happened to him to get him into the hospital, but I think the way that Jacob made it so that that hospital scene was played in a way that it mattered that he was in the hospital versus like just
Yeah.
Shane being Shane.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just so well done.
Yeah. I do think Jacob does a great job of like displaying that people contain multitudes. Like we are not just
Yeah.
one thing. We're a combination of a bunch of things. And he does it so
Mhm.
beautifully with both Ilya and Shane. And this is just another part of Shane's personality. It's the part that like no one doesn't see. Like when Rose says in episode 5, like, you're secretly one of the funniest people I know. And it's like, how many people get to see this side of Shane? But it is
Yeah.
really a part of Shane,
Yeah.
which I think is great. So let's go into number 3.
Okay,
So,
so
so
Tyra,
number, yeah, so
this is one of our favorites, but this is
it is
particularly one of yours. So I will let you introduce what number 3
it
is.
is one of my favorite, and you know what? It's all due to delivery.
I
Like
know
Hudson
it's so
Williams, the
Hudson killed
actor
it.
you are, the man you are.
Hudson.
Um, it's a little moment that happens in a stairwell in episode 5, and we have Ilya and Shane on a phone call, and you know Shane is asking Ilya, like, maybe you could teach me Russian at some point. I wish I knew how to speak Russian. He's like, yeah, you could learn it in a week. Side note, because Ilya thinks he's perfect.
Period.
And he's
Period.
like, and Ilya says, oui, bonjour. And Shane, in the most serious, deadpan way you could, says,
I wish I spoke Russian.
Yeah, you could probably learn it in a week. No accent. Perfect. Bonjour.
That's French, Ilya.
Я и ноши.
That's French, Ilya. And when I tell you, when I first saw this on screen, I died. It like zapped me out of like the heaviness I knew this moment was going to be. And I was just like, now, sir. Now, sir. And he was completely honest, Earnest in that moment. He really meant that. He's like, no, that's French, Ilya. Like, because, I want to correct you. I want to make sure it's right. Did it in a very sweet way. Like, if someone has to correct me, do it like Shane did. But I'm just like, sir, that's a joke. You know what a joke is? When you're, a little teasing. That's what that was. And he is just... And Ilya's response is also equally as great. I know Shane. The same tone that Shane gives him, because at this point we're so connected, we're mirroring each other. But that's a whole separate thing. But yeah, it's so great. Like, sir, why would you say that? Like, bring the wit, Shane. I know you have it. That's the thing. Shane can be witty. Like, I think it takes him like 2 business days to process certain things. But you have the ability to be witty, and in that moment, I'm just like, that's the response you want to give that man? Okay. That's
I
fine.
think it's so funny because, like, obviously, when Shane mentions, like, yeah, maybe you can teach me Russian today, and, like, Ilya just responds back and like, oh yeah, you can probably learn it in a week or whatever. Like, we know that he's saying that to be funny. Like, there's no world where we know Ilya thinks, oh, Shane's gonna learn Russian in a week, whatever. But I think what makes it so funny is, like, we as the viewers know Ilya is just cracking a joke and being funny, and it's just like, you're gonna learn it in a week, blah blah blah, bonjour. And he knows that because he knows that, like, this Canadian man, as a lot of Canadians, know French, so he's just cracking a joke. And it's just so, like, Shane, sir, to be like, oh, hand raise, that's French, Ilya, babe. We know, like that is part of the joke. And the thing that is so endearing about their relationship in general is, like, I, as Petty Spaghetti, would have called Shane out and been like, Shane, I know that, and you just ruined the joke. And actually, like, why did you do that?
Yoshi would have gave that diatribe too. You would have.
And Ilya, being the sweet man that he is just like, I know, Shane. Like, it's just like, that to me is maybe one of the top 3 moments of, like, what their relationship is. And
it
just,
will
like,
be
who they are as, like, people, and then in connection with each other, that they don't have to explain these things that, like, maybe you or I or whoever we would be with would have to explain, or, like, be like, you ruined it, like, whatever. It's just like, oh god, this is who this is. And of course Shane would say this, and, like, that's part of the charm and why I like him. But also, I don't what makes this moment so endearing and funny as, like, a viewer is, like, I don't even know if Hudson and Jacob knew that this moment would be the moment that it is, because when I first heard it, it could be so simply like a throwaway moment, but I was just like, why does Shane think I gotta call that out? Why does Shane be like, hey, I just need to let Ilya know that the Russian thing, I get it, but that wasn't Russian. That was French. And it's just like,
and like, but like making sure
so well
that he did it in the kindest way, right?
I know,
Like,
that's French, Ilya.
right. And like making sure that he's not incurring any like injury to Ilya. Like, this is not to criticize you at all, but it's like, I just want to let you know, in case you were unaware, this is French. It's just and like you said, like, that does inform their relationship going forward, and for better or for worse, the dynamic that they have in the long game. But yeah, it really does inform it. And it's just sweet. It's just a sweet moment, and it's a good, like, to be honest, as it pertains to like filmmaking, it's a good palate cleanser before we get into the heaviness of the Russian monologue. So that's another reason why it's so great. Okay. So what do we got? Coming in at number 2, Nicole, where do we go? What's the number 2 ranking? Ooh, she did that.
Me?
No, not you, me. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Damn. Okay. Okay. She said, absolutely not you. Okay, so number 2 is like arguably one of my favorite moments. And
Mhm.
and we're grouping it together as the episode 1 hotel scene with Shane. But if we were to talk about the moments in this, it is Shane core to the nth degree. I mean, you
Yes.
have Shane 1 putting on a suit to first hook up with this fine arch rival hockey player. And I still to this
Wait.
day,
Don't gloss
I
over the
still,
suit, girl. Go ahead.
oh no, I'm not done. I was gonna say I'm
Okay.
still to this day wish that Ilya would have seen him in this suit, because Ilya would never, and I mean never, have let this go if he saw this man dressed up like this to have to have sexual relation
It
for the
wasn't even a
first
good
time.
suit either. That it wasn't even particularly like good, stylish, nice to look at suit. That was like the Sunday best church suit that you get when you're a child. But I'm sorry, continue.
Yeah. This is like, as someone who grew up in the southern part of the United States, this is like the suit you wear when like someone's being christened, or like or you go to a southern university like I did, and like it's just, it ain't cute. It ain't what you're no. And so I
It's
love
not
that
you put that
Shane.
suit you like I got that shit on. You don't.
Yeah. I love that Shane saw himself and was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" Like, 'cause yeah, what the fuck is going on? And so that's the first part of this kind of number. But the second part, which you know is one of my favorite things, and I don't think people talk about this enough in the fandom personally, but it is when Ilya and Shane, after they make out, and Ilya is like, "Why don't we go to the bed and I'll let you like do some things some more, whatever." And Ilya starts undressing, and he's like, not fair. Like, you need to get undressed too." And Shane is like,
Not fair. Well, I want to see you.
You saw me in the showers.
Yeah, I want more.
"You saw me in the showers." Babe, that was 8 hours ago. That was 8 hours ago. Did you think he
Oh
was coming
god.
here to live off the memory of that? Take off your clothes. Like, that's crazy.
Shane said, I have perfect memory recollection, so I don't understand why you can't recall what I can. Said, I remember every crevice and detail. You need to lock the fuck in, Ilya. What do you want? What more do you want me to do?
He literally said, "You saw me in the showers." What? That is
And with the eye
crazy.
roll, with like an exasperated, like,
Dude,
sir,
we
you were just
we
sucking his
also
thumb 5 seconds
there.
ago. What are you talking about?
The fact,
Hello?
and again, Ilya being the precious, patient person that he is, he had to explain himself and be like, "Yeah, but I want to see you again." Because, like, duh, what do you think he's here for? To live off of a memory and a prayer? Babe, take them pants off quickly. Like, that was crazy. And then I think maybe the best part is that when he starts taking off his clothes,
Yeah.
he decides, "I've got to fold them all." We've got to.
We can't have
We've
creases. Creases are mortal sin.
We've got to have these with no creases. And I'm obsessed, as someone who folds pants. I don't know why, but there's a way. I don't know if it's the Hudson way or if someone told him to do this as Shane. But the way he folds his pants in episode 1 and episode 2, I rewound. Oh, I'm sorry. I went back to that and looked, because I've never folded my pants like that, but he like folds them in a way that's just like, do. And
Did it feel like, I've never worked retail, but did it feel like someone who worked retail, like that, like Gap
Okay,
fold?
well,
No.
that was my first job not out of high school. In high school, that was my first
So
job.
no.
I did retail at Limited too. I was just a bad folder, so maybe not. But that's what it looked like. It did look like someone who would
Right.
like fold at a really nice establishment.
Yeah.
Um,
I was like, did he work at Gap?
but I just felt the way. But I felt particularly the way to me at least, it wasn't that he folded his clothes. It was the
Yeah.
way in which he folded it that to me charmed Ilya. That was like,
Yeah.
who is this guy? Like, what
It's
is
efficient. It was
going
so
on?
efficient, right?
It was.
And it was so like to like get the job done. Um
It was.
like taking it back. Okay. The suit debacle. I too agree with you. I would have loved to see him wear that suit and what Ilya's response would be. I feel like Ilya would have proposed like 2 episodes after that. To be honest. That would have been too much for his brain to handle. He's like, oh, this man is the greatest thing I've ever encountered. Um, but it's really the you saw me in the shower.
That took me out.
Shane, let me hold your hand softly when I say this. You were not 30 seconds ago sucking this man's thumb, sucking something else of this man's, like kissing him so passionately, pushed up against a wall.
Girl.
What did you think was going to happen? What in your mind did you think you were going to stay clothed the entire time? And if you did, how did you think anything else was going to get done? He's just that really, to me, this scene is the epitome of like sweet baby Shane.
Yes.
To be honest, because it's like, and also this is the youngest that they've ever been in their relationship with each other. They're what, 19, 20 at this point? I can't remember.
Like teens for sure.
Yeah, they're super young. So, and this is the first exploration with a man, and he doesn't know the boundaries. But I'm just like, Shane, everything goes at this point. Everything goes. That includes you taking them damn pants off and those boxer briefs and getting in the bed with that fine ass man. What are we talking about, babes? What are we talking about?
It was just funny how he said it, like, yeah, but you saw me in the shower.
He saw me in the shower. Such a brat too. And I think that's another thing that Ilya loves about it too. He loves bratty Shane. That's his kink. But who can blame you?
So funny.
But yeah,
okay,
it's
well,
just so good.
Tyra,
Nicole.
question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is number 1 with Shane? Because we love Shane, but he has a like Shane girl. What are you talking about? And I think we aligned on this the moment we saw this scene.
We
So what
did.
is it?
We did. So Shane, we've talked about how earnest he is. He's certainly a curious person. Always has a lot of questions. Too many if you're asking Ilya. So we're gonna take you back to hotel room scene, episode 5. And Shane is playing a guessing game with illnesses. That's what we're calling the number 1 ranked. Ilya is saying that his father has something wrong with him. And instead of letting this man like continue and like finish his story, letting it unfold, he can't help himself.
My father is very old-fashioned and sick.
Sick like crazy.
That too a little, but no, sick more like
Oh, like cancer?
dementia.
That's awful.
He's like, "You taking too long, sis. I need to get down to it." So this man continues to guess about every illness that Ilya's father possibly could have. Is it cancer? Is he, first of all, before we can get to that, is he crazy? Why is that the first thought that you had about this man? Is he crazy? And Ilya, God bless him, to his point, he's like, well, maybe a little. There he goes. There's his earnestness. Well, before Ilya could get out what it is, oh, is it cancer? Shane, what else you gonna come back? Diabetes? Hypertension? Arthritis? Shane, let this man finish the story. And the thing that makes this even funnier is because early in the episode, Ilya is just like, questions, you have too many. Like he doesn't let him explain. Right, you have too many. And I'm just like, you won't let this man explain. So like the communication is lacking, but also will you let Ilya communicate to you? Like, that's the thing, Shane. Silence never hurt anybody. It's okay. You don't have to guess
I
whether this man has 20 million illnesses under the sun. You can let Ilya open up like you've always wanted him to do. Go ahead, go ahead, Nicole. I just can't.
I know. I have to admit, when I first saw this scene, obviously I love this scene for a number of reasons outside
Yeah.
of this moment. But this particular point, I was just like, babe,
Shane, sir. Shane, sir.
we've waited, and as we, I mean you and I, Shane, have waited years for Ilya to say anything. Anything! And here you are, playing Family Feud with his family's life. And I found it so amusing. I'm sorry. I thought it was hilarious the first time I had to
It
actually
was so
stop
funny.
and I had to go back and watch it from like a I'm gonna be serious now because oh that's you. I had to be serious because I was just like, dude, are you kidding right now? Like you're literally playing. Do you remember that game when we were little called Hangman?
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah.
you would like have to ask questions and like if it was
Right.
wrong, they would add a line. That's exactly what this felt like, where it was like, Shane, actually, you could just ask one question and Ilya would be able to respond with one answer and we would get what we needed. But what was so funny is that it was like he meant it from such a good place, but
He did.
you asking even a best friend, whether it's Hayden or Ilya or JJ or whoever, like, is your dad crazy? Is diabolical, actually.
But
Like,
after like Ilya says, my
what?
father, he is sick. Why is psychotic the first thing you get to, sir?
Wait, he said, wait, like crazy? And honestly, no
Like,
laughing.
sir.
By the way, no laughing. Crazy. And so that's what was so funny. And I would love to know. I mean, I know part of it is because of the book, but like the fact that that was left in there in that way and that it showed that like dang, Ilya really does like treat Shane with a level of patience that like
Mm-hmm.
very few people would have with him because he's like, not crazy, but, and before he can even say what the but is, he's like, you mean like cancer? And it's like, this is
No.
not 20 questions. Like,
Right.
what
He
is,
takes all of his questions so seriously and like answers them with care that like me personally, I would have looked at him like he was crazy. Like that question demanded. But I'm just like, Shane, you've waited for this moment for years for Ilya to open up on his own. And you leading him or trying to lead him, that doesn't
yeah,
like help the end goal. Like, let him explain to you the way he wants to and open
yeah.
up the way you've always wanted him to. And I'm just like, sir, why? But like when it comes to like the father's illness, there's any other circumstance where you can play 20 questions, not about the mortality of this man's daddy. Like, that's crazy. It's so crazy. Oh, you
very,
sweet child. Shane, sir.
very funny. It's very, 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 very funny. And I think in a way, like obviously I'm not a huge fan of people making Shane feel like he's not smart or intelligent. But
Well,
I
that's
think
hyperbole. Yeah.
but I think one of the things with Shane that at least plays into this scene is like
Mm-hmm.
he does come from a very kind of like sheltered reality and is also just like at his core really wants to know more about the people around him. Like he is
Mm-hmm.
very like he's not asking from a bad place or like a I'm like, you know,
Agreed. Yeah.
yeah, like he really just is
Yeah.
like
He's
you brought this
curious.
up. I'm curious and also like I want you to know that I am fully invested and interested in who you are. And
Yeah.
I'll probably never meet your parents. I'll probably never meet your family. But I want you to know that, like, I'm curious to know about them because that obviously plays a role into who you are as a person and how you show up in my life. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's just his way of doing it. Even if sometimes, according to Ilya and to us, it's like,
Right.
babe.
Right, right. And I think we love this so much is because, like, I'll say personally, I identify more with Shane than I do Ilya if we're talking about the two. And I am curious in that way. I would ask these questions. I wouldn't particularly ask this particular question as it pertains to someone's father's sickness. I'm just going to let you explain and on your own terms. But yeah, he is curious about them, and you want to know someone because you also want to be known in return.
Yeah.
And I think essentially that's what it is. And I think both of them feel like deep within each other, they know each other to the core, but it's also the details, right? We don't know. And so let's expound on those. But I'm like, Shane, babes, it's not that detailed. There's plenty of details we can ask. It ain't that one, sis.
It's so funny though. It's such a
It's
great.
hilarious. Shane is very much unintentionally funny, like not in the way that Ilya is, but it's just like, sweetie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
sweetie. It's
Again,
a very sweetie.
it's like, babe.
Yeah. You want to protect him like, oh, you precious child. You don't know
Yes.
nothing about the world. You don't know how the world works.
No. Okay.
Una didn't do her job.
No. We've done our top 5 of Shane, babe. What's going on?
Listen, we've done our
What
top 5.
do you have it? I have an honorable mention. I don't know if
You
you
do.
but-
I think I do, but I'm gonna let you go first. Tell me what your honorable mention is.
Okay. And I didn't this is one of those scenes that I don't really think about that much.
Okay.
But when I did in relation to Shane, it's like ugh, he's so insane. Um, so I'm gonna read it because, well, I'm
Okay.
not gonna read it, but I'm just gonna reference it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when they are at the Olympics in 2014, and it's Shane, and it's my man Scott, and it is
Your
who's
favorite Carter
my man?
Vaughn?
Vaughn.
Carter
And
Vaughn.
they're sitting there, and Ilya's eating his little ice cream, and he looks around and he says,
Does your room have that smell?
Yes, yes it does.
Is it black mold? Because that's what JJ thinks it is.
Probably right. The good news is we're not going to be here long.
All right, so tonight.
"Does your room have that smell?" And Scott, just being Scott, was like, "Yes, yeah, yes, it does." And and Shane says, "Is it black mold? Because that's what JJ thinks." What the fuck are we talking about?
When did you start taking life advice from JJ? Is the first question I
But
had,
not
but
only
okay.
that, but we're
But
eating ice cream at the Sochi Olympics, and it's like, hey, does your room smell like that? Is it black mold? As if Scott was gonna be like, you know what? It is black mold, and we need to get out of here, and we need to call the news. And it was just like such a Shane neurodivergent thing to do that, like, you are at the Olympics. It's your first Olympics. Like,
yeah.
you are young, you are at the top of your game. This is literally something, as you told Ilya, like a few scenes before this, like you've been dreaming and wanting this your whole life. And then all of a sudden, Jacob decides in the middle of this moment to have him say, "Does your room have that smell?" And that became a whole thing. And it was just like, I'm still curious as to why that became a thing. And
Yeah.
also, Shane.
He never explained what the smell was. Was it wet? Did it smell like mildew? Like, what was the smell? And how do we correlate that to black mold? And
Dang.
child, bless his
And
heart.
I love that Scott is also just like such a sweet man that he plays, instead of being like, dude, what do you mean you smell that? Or like, huh? Like, no, the rooms are normal, or like, stop being weird. I love how he just played into it and was like, you know
He's
what?
like,
Yeah,
it does.
I do.
It does. He's very
It
matter of
does,
fact about it.
though.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. So that's one of my favorite kind of like, Shane, babe, what are you talking about? Because I want to remind you, you're at the Olympics right now. Like, this is crazy. And this is what you're worried about.
And also, you have bigger things to worry about. Girl, your situationship ain't text you back in weeks. But anyway, I digress.
Not keep
So,
talking to him.
so, this whole episode I've been thinking about, like, what's my honorable mention? And surprisingly, it's another, like, Shane and Scott moment. It is the moment in episode 3 when they are on the ice. And I like to call this a check that Shane wrote that his ass couldn't cash.
Hope next time we play, you decide to show up.
Cheap.
True.
Starting to sound like him.
I'm sorry, what?
You fucking heard me, Hollander.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Well, there's something you really don't expect to see,
Especially after the final whistle.
and especially from
Because he really, my good brother, really came up there and thought he was doing something with trash talking. And it's not just the trash talk when he says to Scott, oh, I wanted to play you on the ice or something, alluding to something that, like, Scott not really showing up for the moment. And he gives it the trash talk with such a smile on his face, like boyish glee that he is finally trash talking to the Scott Hunter. It's great. It's so great. But when Scott clocks his ass and tells him, you're starting to sound like him, that man was gagged. I was gagged. He was gagged. We were all gagged. And what became something that was like, oh, boyish charm. I finally get to, like, in my first, like, NHL game against the Admirals and Scott Hunter, I get to talk my shit in my little smiley face. Baby, you weren't prepared for the ass whooping that Scott was going to send your way with that comment. And sent you into a tizzy. Like, I have never seen Shane before or since in such a tizzy as, like, usually, and I remember, like, watching hockey players who play and they were talking about this scene. It was like, I've never seen anyone fight after the whistle is blown. And they say that, I think, in the show as well. Like, usually the fighting happens within the 3 periods of the game. No, baby. Shane said, oh, no, I can't let that slide. You got me fucked up. That to me is another one of just like, no, Shane, sir, you really thought you were doing something trying to come for Scott. And Scott said with a quickness, oh, I got your number, sis. I got your number. And you know, every bad bitch, you know, Shane included, has their day. And Scott just had your number that day. And it's really like, Shane, sir, you weren't prepared. You weren't prepared.
Yes, I 100% agree. I mean, I feel like I forget about the scene a lot because it's in the episode 3 of it all. But I feel like in general, what?
Go away, girl. It's funny.
I was not trying to be funny. I meant that in a way that's like episode 3 is very Scott and Kit focused, and I don't think about Shane and Ilya in those episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general that was funny because, you know, I love a good clock moment. And so when Shane is like, maybe show up next time, and it's like,
he thought he was doing something. That's the thing.
But you know what? I did too. I was like, oh, because Shane never talks shit. And it's like, of course, if Shane is going to talk shit, it's going to be on the ice because this is where he's competitive. This is where he feels at home. This is like his like place. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then Scott said, ooh.
He did.
You're starting to sound like him. And I said,
ooh, face cracked. Face cracked.
Clocked your teeth. And literally, Shane had nothing to say back. He just was.
He was ready to fight.
Like, that's why you're 45 and blah blah. And it's like, yeah, you have nothing to say about because he clocked your tea. And I actually loved that moment in general for Shane because you know me. I've always talked to you about this. I, as someone who knows zero about hockey, I love when this show gives me a little bit of hockey and a little bit to show that, like, Shane is that girl on the ice. Like, I love when they allude to it. I love when they show it. I love when it's like, you can see the competitive spirit come out on Shane. And this is one of those moments where it was like, okay, this wasn't Shane and Ilya's episode, but Shane talks shit on the ice. He's a completely different person than he is when he is like with Ilya in bed or wherever. And I loved that they showed that, even though he got his shit played. And I also just loved that they showed the dynamic of Scott versus Ilya and Scott with Shane, because up until that point we had only seen Shane and not Ilya, Shane and Scott be pretty like chummy and like Shane Scott trying to take care of Shane and all of those kind of things, which I'm sure is still normal, or it's just still like a thing, but like I love that they showed a different like kind of like back and forth dynamic for them there, and that also like I'm praying that in season 2 and then in Unrivaled that we see more of that kind of Shane.
And I hope so. And the final thing I will say about this is I think it's so funny that you thought you could talk shit to this man. This is how hyper-focused Shane and Ilya are on each other, that they don't notice anything. This is the man you were sitting next to when Ilya like skated by talking about 1221. And he's like right next door in the hotel room next door. Now, and he's a queer man. I
know you don't know that, but come on.
Right. I just want y'all to make the connection. That man clocked y'all back then. He been new. And you you just conveniently forgot. But God bless you, Shane, sir. We love you. Real bad. Real bad.
Okay.
So that concludes it, Nicole. That wraps it up. We got the top 5 ranking. We got the honorable mentions. What did we miss, you guys? What is on your ranking?
This was one of those where it was like, we'll have another Shane countdown. This was not like Shane being funny. It was just like Shane being Shane. And I feel like there's a lot of moments like this. And once we get to like the books or season 2, we'll have so much more. But
because when we get to the books, guys, when we get to the books, I don't know if y'all ready. We got opinions. We got thoughts.
All I'll say is my client, Shane Hollander, did no wrong. And y'all will have to eat that, because I will be defending that man
to the depths of hell.
This man
did nothing wrong.
Absolutely
Your
nothing.
Honor, he's innocent of all charges. Let him go.
But also, this man also did nothing wrong, except when the fans thought he did him wrong. And then I'm going to say, no, this man did nothing wrong, and this man did nothing wrong. And these men together did nothing wrong, but what y'all are not going to do is get on this man.
We're not going to have a witch hunt for the Shane Hollander, League's Most Wanted. We're not doing that. That's a good man, Savannah.
Okay. This man is a good man, Savannah. This man is a good man, Savannah.
Good man.
But when some of y'all act like only this man is a good man, Savannah, I'm going to let you know that this man is also a good man, Savannah. Y'all are not going to play him in the long game. Y'all are not going to act like he doesn't eat like all the other athletes out here, because I will also defend his microbiotic diet. Y'all are not going to be out here.
She really is about that microbiotic diet, y'all. But listen, guys, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to have some racy opinions. But as always, this is top 5. We did it again. Episode 3 in the books. Nicole, final word. What do you got to say to the people?
I just have to say I love talking about the show, and I hope y'all love us talking about the show, and we hope to hear from you all, and cannot wait for the next episode.
We cannot wait. Let us know your Shane-isms. And with that, we'll see you in the next one. Peace, my good people. And we're out. Bye-bye.